Welcome, all you partisans, preppers, and purveyors of everything brush feeder, Joe Dolio, West Tower, and everybody else. We've got a long hiatus, and we'll have a quick explanation of that because 99% of you probably don't give a damn. And we'll go into a little brief conversation about stuff related to classes because that's part of the reason why I've been gone. And on top of that, we'll be talking about something that's happened recently that most of the public has now figured out, that we are going to have an ammo shortage, to the point that I was talking to 4 dudes outside of a gun range last night at 9 o'clock at night. It's a weird place and they're open till 10, but they knew about it and they were talking about it as well. So we're going to discuss that in a little different view. I'm sure most of you guys know because you're kind of probably locked in, but we're going to start off with talking about some courses. First off, I went to Wes's class in Daytona, had a great time. I'm not going to go into details on that because I do want to probably focus in on a class, and I'm working on an article on that. But I went to his, I'm going to have to look up the name of that real quick. Basically, a very well versed class on penetration of security systems and locks and why that's important. And his is based around the concept of why I would do this or learn this would be to defend my home and understand my security failings too. Obviously, it's more in depth than that, and I won't do a huge dive into that right now. But let's talk about some of his other classes coming out. I can't recommend the guy enough. Wes is a really cool instructor. He's no nonsense. He's different than some of the other instructors that we've had around. And he gives that very military sense. If you've been to military courses, he mixes the civilian with the military. And I think he does a great job for the prepping community. That said, first one that he's got up here is going to be surveillance photography on his list. And that's 11th to 12th of April. That's going to be all about cameras, getting those good shots. And that also ties back into the security stuff because people can take photos of your keys and cut keys and go into your house. Really cool concept. It's more in depth than that, but that's something you learn in the class. He also has 13th and 14th. There's a Carolina Capabilities Co-op thing. Think of it as slightly like Mountain Readiness with a different view, different stuff going on, but in that genre. He has a Mountain Readiness coming up, Expo 1 to the 3rd of May. I don't know what his class is on that. You might want to ask him or go on his website. It's rallypointsolutions.com. I'm going to kick on over to, if I can find it, one of our other friends, Team 1 Tactical, Marty, and he's got a couple coming up. If you go to his class, his website is team1tacticalsolutions.com. That said, this gentleman, unlike Wes, who is fully dedicated to doing this, he is bouncing back and forth doing other jobs related to the industry, but not related to civilian prepper stuff all the time. But he's got some really good courses, and I wanted to hallmark a couple of these because I think he's got a really cool concept. First one's going to be the 3-day Recce Small Unit Tactics Level 1 course. That's in March 13th. You can view the course there. I believe that one's in North Carolina, if I remember correctly, talking to him. And then he's got another one for you guys who can't spend all the money, all the time, and everything else to go out all the time. He has a 1-day Recce 101 course. Now, it's going to be a basic bare bones understanding. But for you guys who haven't been to Scout's courses, Dolio's courses, Wes's courses, this might be one of those things like, man, I'm saving money, but the economy sucks right now. Gas prices are high. I got to go get a hotel room, blah, blah, blah. This might be something for you to look into as well. That course is $125, so it's not charging that huge fee. And he specifically, when I talked to him, said that's what that course is for, to get you guys a basic understanding. Think of it as if you read Scout's books on RTO, you'll get something out of the books, but going to his class is way more in depth, and training it, you can do it and learn it over time. It's kind of that like basic bare bones, get you understanding of that. And I've got one more before I'm going to switch over to Rabbit, who's here. I want to hit up Dolio's classes. February 21st is gone. March is partly through March. He's apparently had a land nav yesterday, and he's got a basic pistol for women's today. So his next one is going to be March 20 to 22nd is a field craft course. Remember, this guy's out in Montana. It's a 3-day course. He has a March 28th knife defensive tactics. That's an 8 a.m. to noon, $100, which if you haven't played with knives and you're a gun guy, you're screwing yourself in a lot of ways. It's something that you should look into. March 28th, again, 1 to 5 is unarmed self-defense, another $100. And then March 29th is radio basics. It's a 2 to 6 class. It's $100. That'd be a great one, too, if you can't go to a full RTO course and spend a crap ton of money. You'll at least understand it. And I know Joe knows enough that he's going to teach you more than you need to know as a basic person. And then I'm going to switch over to Rabbit. Rabbit, I'm going to give you the coup de grace and talk about Scout.
Yeah, man. It's going to be back finally. Definitely a little hiatus. So, yeah, definitely trying to keep up with. Been a lot of good courses coming out. A lot of pennies I got to save. So, I know you know the feeling. What do we got going on? They just did their fighting carbine just last week in March. They got the drone ISR coming up at the end of this month of March, as well as they're going to have, obviously, I'm trying to think of where we got here. Oh, yeah, the basic wilderness course is going to be the 28th and 29th of March as well. Going into May, we're starting off with the TCCC intermediate class, which is actually that's going to be the new level 2 class. It's going to be pretty awesome. Anybody's been to the TC3 class in the past, that's going to be considered like a building block up to this class given out in May, the 8th to the 10th. And that's going to be pretty cool. There is going to be a limited enrollment just because between proctors and skill stations, it's a little bit more technical. Again, you're building up those skills that you had through the earlier TC3 course. So anybody's been through that, definitely give that an interest. I always healthcare, all the way. And then moving into June, they got the HF NVIS class coming up June 5th to the 7th. I'm trying not to miss none, but and then moving into August. That's the next fighting carbine for 1st to the 2nd of August. And that's going to be followed up by it should be the advanced RPTO in North Carolina. There will be, and I did miss one, June 12th to 14th is going to have the RTO class, but that's going to be out in Montana for anybody who's going to be out in that area.
That'll probably be a Dolia's course, too. If you want that real deep dive.
Yeah, I think that should be listed. But, man, I've been constantly, I know when we were talking about the level 2 and trying to help out, get some of that stuff straight, it's great to see some awesome classes coming up. And I know I might have missed one or two, but definitely give Brush Feeder Store, give it a look. Go over those, make sure that, I probably missed one or two.
If you missed
like
one,
I said,
that's
there's
fine.
so many. There's so many good stuff.
I didn't hit all the stuff Wes Hightower's got going on either. Wes has got an in-depth setup, and it's all the way into October, which is great. We'll probably hit that up on another podcast. So two things. One, please, for the love of God, all you instructors that keep setting these classes up to have disasters happening on the weekend. I'm looking at you, Scout. Please, for the love of God, shut off the damn switch that says, turn this on to show my students that they should be prepared. Because I'm tired. I'm tired, bro. I don't need any more.
Now it's just
craziness.
The pace of everything. Now it's crazy how I was like, oh wow, it's
courses are doubled, chaos is doubled. Every time I go to a course, something's going crazy. I probably will be at the June 5th through 7th course, helping being an assistant instructor as well. So that'll give me some more time to play around with radios, which I need to do a lot more of. That said, let's do that weird boop back in time thing. So, first of all, November hit and I had to quit my job for various reasons. And I, in my infinite wisdom, instead of doing podcasts, wrote a bazonkers crazy article on drones. Now, that should be the next podcast.
Just, under 1,000 pages?
It was 167 pages. I can't even remember what the words were. And it started off with me going, oh, if I look at drone warfare and compare it to aircraft from World War I and World War II, there's a similarity. And it went straight downhill from there. added to learning stuff from World War II manuals that you don't see anymore, but it was all the things that I saw in videos that they did wrong. And I will be doing a podcast on it. I'm going to be probably doing it with a Patriot Man tomorrow and anyone else who can get on. I know he was, bless his soul, had to read all that crap, edit it, and post it on American Partisan. So I had to take all the images, download them, repopulate them to the thing. It's ridiculous. So it took a while to get out, and it was day after day with a couple skips in between. So I did that. In the meantime, got a new job, got a new truck because a VA nurse ran into me. Very nice lady. It didn't total the vehicle, but according to insurance, it totaled the vehicle.
There's
Life got
definitely a VA joke in there somewhere.
Yes. Sweetest lady, but it happens. So I had to get a new truck. Once we got the new truck, I've not stopped. I've not stopped going places with the wife. We're hopefully going to be moving in the next year or so if the wheels on the bus don't come flying off, which it seems like they're trying very desperately on everywhere. And add to all that, the course I went to, the other stuff, I got to hang out with Angry American, P. Robertucci at that courses. They were actually going to another course, a shooting course out there that I really want to go to. It's not cheap. But so I've been busy. You guys haven't seen as much of me. I haven't posted as much on X because of that. Add to that, Rabbit's been working, and Rabbit's schedule is either working really hard or not working too much, and neither one of our stuff met in the middle. I've talked to Wisco Mando, not as much as I normally do. He's busy with stuff and enjoying his life and everything else, but he did come out and warn us. How many days ago did he warn us about the whole ammo shortage?
Shoot, what are you talking about?
About a week ago?
About a week, a little less than a week. I think it was like 6 days, something like that. But I know that kind of came why. It was like, hey, like, just FYI, just put your ear to the ground on some stuff that might be coming down the pipeline. Because, yeah, it's definitely important to kind of keep your eye on stuff like that.
And we're bringing this up for multiple reasons. First of all, Rabbit and I have been longtime friends forever. With my traveling job and everything else, I think Rabbit probably has most of my ammo, which is conveniently several hundred miles away from each other for weapons he doesn't have, which we will discuss on top of that. Not to mention the reloading. I bought reloading stuff on one deployment sometime and didn't open the box for like 10 years. And that came from ammo prices, which Rabbit, you sent us a picture, a couple friends, a box of 308. What was the price on that?
Yeah, so I just kind of going through with what was going on. I kind of, touching everything that, we got. And I was like, I wanted to say that was one of the oldest boxes I had for when I started shooting, which really wasn't all that long ago. I think it was a box of 308 basic PMC stuff for $12 for 20 rounds.
Yeah.
And then the other box, which was still it was a little newer, but a little older, was 23 for the same box. And then I went to go buy some the other day, and what they had left, which was not good stuff, was just under 30. So I know it's definitely, and that's all 308, but and it's all like M80 comparative type grade stuff.
Ball ammo is for training.
Yeah.
And this is a great comment because what was spoken to us from Mando, and Mando has an ear to the industry as a whole quite often. He knows stuff that's coming a day to a couple days ahead of schedule on this stuff. It is the fact that most of the ammo that's being bought up is training ammo. So you'll still be able to get self-defense ammo and everything else like that. But it's a panic buy because of the Iran situation. And this is all training ammo that we bought. Now, it's dual purpose. You can still, a 308 round, I don't care if it's a hollow point to shoot a deer at several hundred yards, or a bad guy or a terrorist or whatever else, a full metal jacket still works. And that still concept kind of holds true in 5.56. There's more nuance to that, but if you've been around, if you want us to talk about that, I will get Wisco to come on and we can talk about barrel twists and everything else like that, because there's some importance. And we touched that with Whiskey Hotel one time, I believe, too.
Yeah, that was definitely something. I think we had one, and we talked a little bit more in depth on specifics when it came down to the dreaded ballistics and,
The issues
that
with the
that huge
5.56
cloud
and
of
223
info.
and yeah.
Yeah, all that stuff. That's just I can't. I like to shoot. To me, a lot more general purpose. I don't shoot professionally, if that
Yep.
makes any sense. So I mean, definitely, I'm not getting, and that actually kind of led into some of our other comments about like reloading,
Yep.
who reloads and why, and which was kind of interesting because given a look at that was something I saw on one of my trips was I actually found a pretty, well, at least half a shelf of reloading stuff. Just good some powders, bullets, primers, stuff like that. But man, it's still. I was looking at a pound of powder, which was actually the same. I think it's a 223 S or CFE. I think it's from Hordity. Either way, it's still the same product from when I bought it the first time, and it had a tag for 12.50 on it, which was, again, some of this stuff is kind of old, and I probably ain't gonna use it, but just kind of looking at it and looking at the same barrel or the same canister, what, 2 3 days ago, it was $84. Granted, this is one store, North Carolina, that I happen to just kind of stop in on a whim, just kind of look around. But I was totally I knew that just finding supplies, if you are a reloader, has been very difficult over the last probably 10 years.
Yeah, it's been
And the
on and
prices are
off.
just, yeah, it's been kind of weird. I know PSA used to carry a bunch,
Hmm.
at least where we used to go and grab stuff, and they
Yep.
cleared it out, 15 years ago and
Yeah.
never brought it back.
Now you can go to some of their stores and they still have it if you like up in Columbia or something like that. We travel through the region, so sometimes I'll just pop into some of the PSAs. I have my love-hate relationship with PSA, and that's a long story too. Overall, I think the company's pretty good and they sell good stuff for a reasonable price. So I'm not gonna knock them for that. I had a personal issue with one spot and it got resolved, and I guess the guy got fired, but that's again another story. I'm gonna jump back. So I bought the reloader at the time, and I'll date the shit out of myself. I started shooting pistol ammo, and we got Walmart boxes for a sub $10. So it's $9.10, whatever the box was. So we'd buy 1,000+ rounds, and I shot excessive amounts of ammunition. And I never thought I'm gonna have to go make my own ammo. Fast forward a couple deployments, all the other stuff going on. I come back and I can't remember if it was a president change or something like that, but the price of ammo had just gone through the roof. And it's probably not as bad now, but I remember looking at a brick of 22 and it was like 1,000 rounds. And I want to say, or maybe the 550 rounds, they used to be 10, 12, $15 or something like that. And spiked up to 60. So that was eye opening. I was like, you know what? I got the money right now. Let me go buy a Dillon reloader. And of course, I didn't open it because I didn't have a place to install it, do all the work. I started buying some of the side stuff for it and never touched this thing and put it up on the shelf and moved away. Deployment came back. Eventually, we set it up and we started running ammo production for ourselves to cut down cost because at the time we had seen the rise, that huge spike, and then it dropped back down. And it was reasonable again to go buy ammo, but it's still higher than it used to be. And then we were having another spike, so we pulled out the reloader. I know you were making ammo, and I at the time I didn't know how hard it was to get into this, but Rabbit and I kind of came to this kind of concept of you either build ammo to do precision, quality, specialized stuff, or you're doing ammo for bulk. And I'm not going to call the FUD guys the precision guys, but some of them are. There's also people who are just avid shooters and they want that round to be perfect, which I'm assuming Wisco Mando is, he's that guy.
Well, that's kind of I would consider that kind of when you're pulling out all the stops and you're really looking for those really good hand loads, that match with your gun, and you're really getting in tune with it. And I mean, you're picking the velocity off of every round, and you're taking notes. And not that we aren't either, but it was definitely less. The tolerances were looser in the way of, okay, hey, making sure that most of all safe, most of all like, hey, it's functional, hey, like stuff like that. But it wasn't like, I'm gonna shoot this 1,000 yards and it's got to hit. No, I wasn't. That was not the reason exactly. Now I did find it interesting because we were into some interesting bullets that you couldn't get in produced ammo, which that was another reason. I know we talked about that. Like, what was it, Hornady, and they produced a couple bullets that they did not. You couldn't buy them in a cartridge. You had to actually. That was the only way you were going to get them is if you reloaded. Which that was a bit. Obviously, that's a big bonus too. But it was really interesting to kind of look at it from just from different perspective of, well, hey, it's not to go and like give everybody, because obviously you can't be doing that. That's the wrong answer. But at the same time, to kind of offset some of those prices of, hey, you just want to put some target ammo down. But man, it was kind of interesting to kind of see kind of come to fruition, and as well as learn why different people reloaded.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, there's definitely some cool stuff. I know there's a lot of rounds that were produced that fall under. There are still rounds running around, but less. You can't find them as often now that were armor piercing, that were produced before the whole ban, which are still legal, and you could install into a cartridge and do your own reload and be legal. That said, most of that is dried up, along with all the good AK parts kits that used to be fully together and you didn't have to buy a barrel for and everything else, and were cut because of stupid laws. So they were out there, and there's a nuance to that too. But let's move on to another thing, because okay, now all the ammo's gone. I'm behind the power curve. Oh shit, I didn't have the money last week to buy this stuff, and I need the ammo. Where should I go to get ammo? Well, that's going to be really hard, but I'll tell you this right now. The big boxes stores are still going to get ammo in, and they probably bought other ammo from the distributors, who the distributors panic bought, and they're gonna upcharge. They're gonna upcharge. But there's a couple companies that I'm gonna pop them out, and you can love them, hate them, whatever else. One is far more political than everybody else. He's been on Timcast IRL at one point, called Phoenix Ammunition, and they're out of Michigan. And when you buy their ammo, they'll post stupid little political things on the side, on their packaging. So very hilarious stuff, but for some of you guys, you'll love it more than others. Some guys won't. If you don't care, it's still there. If you get offended, by all means, cry about it on Twitter. He'll make fun of you and move on. The current bag says, let me get this straight. You're saying they know it's baby? They do, and I'm tired of pretending they don't. And it's the meme from the Joker movie. The one that was actually good, not the one that had dancing retards in it. So they're out there, and they've got 250 rounds for $65. I think it's 26, 27 cents a round. And I know of another place, because I worked out in Utah for a while. They have ammo. Most of this is out. Right now, they're out of ammo because everybody's bought the stuff. This one's called HSL Ammo. It's out of St. George. If you ever want to go out there, they produce ammo, and they've apparently moved since the last time I was there, because they were not in a big place. Now they have a big warehouse, and they produce ammo too. Lots of target stuff. They occasionally do a self-defense round, and they do pistol and rifle stuff. And they make a crap ton of ammo, but I think online they sell it so fast. If you walk in, you can go pick it up. And there are places like this around the U.S. You have to search for them. They're not going to be known unless you're a local and you know it. But for instance, there's probably 2 or 3 in North Carolina I don't know about, because I don't live there. But I bet if I went to Scout and said, hey, where's a repository for ammo production around your area? I know where it is in Arkansas. There's a Remington plant you drive by, so you know where to go pick that stuff up. The one in Utah, though, is called HSL Ammo, and it's hslammo.com. You guys can follow them. Their ammo prices go anywhere from 23.9 cents a round to 27 cents a round for 9mm Luger subsonic round nose. So it's out there. It's sometimes hard to get. You may have to walk into the store. So I'm going to adjust this, because we had a conversation about how much ammo should we have? Where are we storing this?
And it kind of opens up to, like, and would just kind of finish up, this is kind of I know this is kind of an odd kind, what do you want to call it, podcast this time. Definitely looking for user input on this one.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're good to our locales, kind of where we kind of, frequent. So, but definitely for those who, hey, the guys you want to put out and say, hey, this is where y'all get stuff just to kind of help out other folks, especially what prices you guys are seeing. Like I said, it's kind of weird.
If you find us on X, post where there's an ammo production facility that isn't one of the big box ones that already has contracts to everything else. HSL is one of those that they mail all over the place, and I know Phoenix mails ammo all over the place. I can tell you, probably southern Florida in the Miami region, there probably is an ammo production facility down here. If there is, I don't know about it because all the stores are big boxes or they're gun stores that carry ammo. And I haven't seen anything local like that, but I know Arkansas has productions. I'm sure up in the Northeast in one of those states that's not gone totally commie like Virginia is about to go, there's stuff out there. And it's important to do your area study to know what's in your region. And your area study, like they always say, start at your house, build out. Well, maybe there's some critical stuff and critical infrastructure stuff like ammunition production. Where am I going to go to look at that? I know there's enough ammo ranges down here that I'm sure all this brass is being sold to somebody and probably cleaned up and then sold to another reproduction. I forgot there's one in Georgia too that used to go around to all the gun shows. It was like Georgia Ammo or something like that.
I can't remember. I faintly remember it because I know there's a bunch, and, I know sometimes some of the, I don't want to say smaller places, they end up getting kind of lost in in the sauce when it comes to, everyone's like, oh, hey, Winchester, or white box or red box or whatever.
Yeah, Georgia Arms was the one I was thinking of, and they used to go to gun shows quite a bit. So they're out in Villa Rica, Georgia.
Was theirs reloaded?
It was, but
it was Lake City.
It was manufactured by them, and they had $1 million per instance insurance for theirs. So, like, if you bought any of their ammo, it was basically like anybody else's ammo that you could buy off the shelf. But they did a lot of bulk ammo can, spam can stuff, and they sold it like that. I think they're to the point they're so large they probably don't do the shows as much anymore, if they do it at all. So,
and definitely, I mean, we are definitely having another run on the ammunition, and if it goes like any other time, guns will follow. Like, the ammo's gonna go, and then the guns go. It just kind of seems the way it goes. I guess, I don't know, it seemed to be the pattern in the last couple times.
Totally agree with that. I just got on Georgia Arms website. They have 1,000 rounds for, I guess, for about $300. It's called Can Heat. It comes in those metal ammo cans for as long as they probably have ammo cans. But let's talk about how much ammo should we be holding, because we've had this discussion before. But I want to bring it up again because your situation is different than mine. And mine has been, how would you say, so destitute and so horrible as I drove across the country with a cat and my ammo supply had to fit in my vehicle. So sometimes we can't carry a crap ton of ammo. Sometimes we can't get on the bandwagon and buy cases of ammo. I believe American won't cry about me saying this, that back in the day, and I don't know how long ago, this was a while ago, they used to buy pallets of ammo. A couple guys would get together and they would put money together and buy a full big ass pallet of ammo, which cost them, let's say, $10,000, $20,000. But they split it amongst a bunch of guys, and they had a huge supply of ammo, and it resisted the effects of, I'm going to call ammo inflation. For lack of a better term, where this is synthetic and didn't need to happen, they ran scare. We see this all the time. So,
oh yeah, and I mean, it's anybody who, though you can't exactly pinpoint, hey, but this is exactly the reason. There's a bunch of stuff going on in the world right now, and all And it would be very naive to think that this market would not be affected in any way. And
Yeah.
now, obviously, there might be something maybe coming on the pipe. That's possibly why there was a sudden purchase and now an inability for us to buy from their normal distributors. I know there's a couple of them that have been hunting down, like they just can't get ammo at
Yeah, it
all.
was like
Whether,
COVID. You couldn't get ammo either. It was
yeah,
gone off the shelves. I ended up selling 1,000 rounds because I had a snot ton of 9mm at the time. And I was like, I can sell 1,000 rounds and they can, because they were selling guns out of the store, one of our friends, and they couldn't sell ammo with it. And people were scared. And it's like, hey, we can get you a box of ammo or 2 boxes of ammo with your gun, but you need to buy it now with the gun because we're not gonna hold on to it for you if somebody needs it. And the fears were real, the chaos was real, and the panic was real. Fast forward after COVID, a lot of people had a whole bunch of ammo. They started trying to slough off it, but the prices stayed up. Every time the prices jumped, you may get a max out, we'll say, I don't know, let's say back in the day I could build 1,000 rounds of 9mm for $100, and it jumped up to 250 for some reason. Maybe it'd come down to 150 or 200, but it stayed up. It's higher than it was before, and there was always excuses from all the companies. And to be fair, you have to have a company, you have to produce something that makes you money. I know HSL, when I talked to them out there, just shooting the shit with the guys, they had all their machines running. You walked in, there was barrels of brass and everything else there. They're like, yeah, we make, say, 2-3 cents a round or whatever it is as profit. And that's not a lot for one round, but they were making something like 500,000 rounds in a week of just 9mm. Not to mention all the other ammunition they were making and trying to balance that out to what the demand was and changing the production over there. They had some really cool machines. They're a lot smaller than our setup with the Dillon Reloader. And we were talking about, Rabbit and I were talking about how the fact we're shocked that the automation of medical equipment is on YouTube and being pushed as this cool idea to make things cheaper because the machines are hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some guy has made his own version for $3,000, $4,000, which is still a crap ton of money. But if you're a hospital in Africa, you can make it yourself with a 3D printer.
you're seeing
So
you're seeing this level of automation just in certain other aspects. But I don't know, maybe it's just and this is straight speculation from me. I don't know if it has to do with the accessibility of parts, accessibility of like expendables when you talk about like the bullets, the powder, your primers and stuff. I doubt it's knowledge. I kind of doubt it's knowledge just because I know, a lot, talk about it, get into it, and it's not a secret or nothing. I
the recipes
definitely
are
run into
online.
less guys now than I thought that I have in the past that did. Let's be honest, about 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, remember, there was always, we'd go to that range that was, and there was always some random dude just pillaging. Just,
Yep. You
there
come
was
up and grab
always a
brass.
different guy just pillaging brass out of the trash can. It was never the same guy twice.
It was an hour away from any major civilization. So this is not, or 45 minutes to an hour away from like a major township or area where there's a large population. It's where you'd go out, and we called it the Wild West. And there's always a range like that. I was shot at a Utah range. It was the same way. Everybody who's out there is just going out there to shoot, to have fun. But there was always a dude, and it was always some old dude at the time when we were much younger, but it's always old dude sifting through the trash with homemade brass separators. So they'd come in for specific brass. Maybe they just wanted the rifle brass, then they didn't want to do pistol. Because at the time, pistol ammo was way cheaper than rifle ammo. And we'd see that every time. And they would pick anything up. It got to the point like they'd almost pick it up as you shot it. And you'd be like, hey man, no, that's going to be my brass. Like, you had to nudge those guys away. So
Yeah, because we usually picked up our own just because we were kind of, obviously
we were
counting it
reloading.
and trying to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were trying to kind of try some different stuff as well. But I do remember it being a little bit more like I just feel like I've ran into guys more often.
Yep.
And I just don't feel like
I don't see 'em
I've
anymore.
run into a single guy, and I mean, I don't. I mean, I feel like I shoot probably just a little less than prior. I haven't really changed my shooting schedule per se, but I'm kind of surprised that I haven't run into
Might be the region of the world you're in too now,
yeah
and that's
different
part of it.
places. You go. It's sometimes
Culture's
a little
different.
yeah, yep, exactly. I just thought it was an interesting thing, and again, those who reload, make a love to hear your opinions on stuff and see, what maybe got you started into it, why you've done it, because, we're all for, bringing out information and trying to keep everybody as educated as possible. At least we can for the level of knowledge we have on things, which,
Which should have
I
been a
know
disclaimer at
nothing
the start
about.
of this.
What do they say? I know nothing about fuck. So,
Yeah, and that unfortunately is part of the reason why we did this podcast, and it's called Common Off the Shelf. It's common dudes. We could be so wrong, and I previously would have said something gross, but let's just say two men necking on a subway wrong. I hope we're not that bad, but we can be that wrong. And I want you guys to understand that. So make your own adjustment, make your own decisions. That said, I was talking to a historian. He was talking about gold and silver. He's talking about how silver right now is being market manipulated by a bunch of big players. I'm curious if ammo's getting done the same way for other reasons. I don't know. That's like 120% speculation. I could be way off base. And that's why I said, hey, we could be wrong. Be careful of this. I'm assuming we may see this market spike like this. They bought everything out. We'll see a spike in the cost. It'll drop down a little bit later, and ammo may come back in a couple months. But what do you do? What do you want to carry? And what do you want to keep at your house for your level of disaster preparedness? And I say this because disaster preparedness isn't always, I need 10,000 rounds to fight off the Chinese, Cuban, Russian invasion with paratroopers in Colorado kind of setup. Or whatever the new movie was. I think it was Chinese. Or is it, hey, I've got a hurricane coming through, and we know after hurricanes, there's looting. Same thing, tornado issues, power outage. I know Joe is out there, and he's fighting the cold and I guess running his generator because they can't keep the power on out there with the snow. And I'm currently cooking alive in the South like an idiot.
oh yeah,
So,
and then at least at the time of this recording, pretty much if you're east of Texas, even pushing out towards the Rockies, there's some pretty severe weather. We're talking, I know they're talking like tornadoes. They're talking about all that other stuff. Pretty much hitting the East Coast in the next couple days.
yeah, don't stop you from having a power
No,
outage. It's not
not even close.
going to
Yeah,
make your
of
life
course.
better. Could you go hunt an animal in the time to get food? Sure, but if it's that cold or the power is out during then, your refrigerator is not a problem. Go throw it out on the deck and you're fine. But the reality is, comes down to what is your plans? And this is not something that we can sit down. We can say what my issue is. I'm in an urbanized environment. I need probably 20 to 30,000 rounds in an armored vehicle and a group of guys to get out of here and survive if something tomorrow switched and everybody went into chaos. Chances of me getting out of here is probably 0.001% at that point, at least intact with family. Other times, we've been in other areas where I'd say maybe I need a couple hundred rounds of 9mm, maybe a good battle pack of rifle ammo, and I was probably oversupplied because there's just no one around. You're out in southern Missouri, out in I call it the nutsack. It's that little, they call it the heel. The proper term's the heel, but it looks like a little nutsack in Missouri. There's nothing out there. It's a whole bunch of farmers. They're already prepped up. A disaster happens. The population of the town's maybe 600. And chances are the druggies there will probably be shot dead by just their neighbors trying to take care of that issue in a major apocalypse than I would ever have a chance to deal with them. And that was me traveling. So I didn't have much to worry about then. You move into Memphis, Tennessee, same problem. How much ammo you got, how much armor do you have, and how many men do you have behind you? So when we discuss this, think about your house, think about where you are, do your area studies, and look at your logistics of where can I get ammo? What kind of ammo do I need? What kind of situation may I be in? And this comes into something we talked about too called bartering ammo. And this is, man, this is one of those topics that there's never going to be a right answer because there's never going to be a one size fits all solution. And on top of that, everybody's going to have an opinion until it's after it's over with. Because we saw, what's it? There's a South American country that had an economic collapse. Forgive me, because it's been a long time since I read the book. It was a prepper book, and the guy who wrote it was a South American who spoke Spanish. And he was like, people didn't carry rifles around. All they carried is pistols. So pistols were premium, and ammo for pistols were premium. And you could trade for food with it. That said, there's also a balance, and you're in America. And that may be a whole different animal. Can I trade for it? What ammo should I be carrying that's not ammo that I have? Because I'll tell you right now, I've got 45s, 40s, 357 SIG stuff, and it is not all where I live right now currently because of my work situation. It is spread among a couple friends that I trust that are very loyal to me, and I'm like, hey, if I'm dead, it's yours kind of situation. But we have ammo for that, and chances of me picking up a 357 SIG ever again is probably in the negative numbers. Like, I'd almost sell that stuff if I thought it was worth anything to sell. And that's the interesting use case. So we've got, between the two of us, probably some ammo that we have no use for. I don't carry a 45. I know Scout loves his 45, but you don't carry a 45 either, right?
No, it's just kind of like just stuff you kind of acquire. I'll be honest, it's just kind of like kind of stuff that you kind of acquire, you know?
Yep.
And I don't remember how, like, you just
I
run
probably
into
bought the 45 for
something
mine.
or, yeah, ended up in somebody, it ends, you go shoot with somebody different and then it ends up in your bag or whatever. And you kind of end up with some random rounds every now and again. Which
Or
I
you get
always
a
thought was,
gun. You
yeah.
get a gun to shoot and you want something cool or unique. Like, I know when I was younger, there was a couple guns that I really wanted. I wanted a Desert Eagle so bad when I went in the military. I got chewed out in the mess hall because I had written how do I pay for a Desert Eagle setup because we had just had a class on finances. And the drill instructor, we call them TIs, basically was like, is this just you writing dumb crap? Like personal stuff. We couldn't write personal notes and keep them in our books, but we could have course notes. And I was like, it's course notes. Here's why it is personal. He's like, I really want one of those too. Get out of my face. I didn't get yelled at. But let's say you bought a Desert Eagle. You have a whole bunch of 50 AE. What is the chance of you bartering 50 AE ammo to anyone who's got food? Probably next to none. Unless you barter the Desert Eagle, and then that's a whole package deal. And I've shot Desert Eagles. I don't want one anymore. If I was rolling in cash, I might get one. And I've shot a SPAS 12. Really cool gun. Sucks to shoot. There's a company called Bronco that's coming out with one, or they're threatening to come out with one. I really want one of those. I might buy one. But I can possibly barter 12 gauge. I still don't know if I'd carry the SPAS 12 clone around in an apocalypse and shoot it. I'd probably be happier with a pump Mossberg 500, 590, or even some of the other better shotguns out there. I'm not a shotgun guy personally, but.
Oh, totally. And I mean, let's be honest. Everyone anybody who's ever gotten into shooting, we all have the fantasy, the cool collectible,
And sometimes
you know,
you buy it.
yeah,
Sometimes you buy 'em.
like you just run into stuff like that, but it isn't, it's just, it may not be practical
Yeah.
for certain circumstances or, hey, it's just I think everybody's got a Mosin. I
Yeah.
don't
Oh, yeah.
know if I'm going to be taking that to,
Do I need the 7.62 by 54R cartridges? And I mean, to be fair, at that point, that might be something you could transfer to somebody else.
Oh,
for
in
a
that
hunting
aspect,
rifle.
yeah, for another person or whatever, but at the
But if they
same
don't have
time,
a gun,
it's like, exactly, and then everyone
and
has
how
the
bad is that Mosin? How bad is that Mosin throwing bullets out and turning them sideways in the air 2 feet out of the barrel?
yeah.
Like, at that
Is it
point, get a
looping back
shotgun.
and hitting you by, like, I mean,
Are
I
you
think
missing
we've
the
all
deer
seen
by
some of
23 feet?
those. Oh yeah, some of those guns.
Yeah.
They're in some
Wore out,
rough.
the crown's destroyed, and at this point, and they've gotten so expensive, that to buy a reasonably priced one. You have some poor worn out Mosin that has been shot to death in some trash war and repatriated to Russia, and then was shipped over here and was the crappy one. And somebody's like, I'll buy 80 of these for $65 back in the day. They used to be $65.
Oh
You
yeah.
buy them, it's cheaper than ammo is now. And for good reason. They're a shit gun. They really are a shit gun. But they are a fun first gun to shoot. They've got a big kick. But again, I've got a 1911 Rock Island Armory. This is before Rock Island Armory was big, and everybody and their dog made a 1911. There was I'm going to call a renaissance of 1911 production, and then there's a renaissance of 2011 productions, which is kind of cool. The 9mm in the 1911 format's a cool gun to shoot. My Rock Island is old. It rattles like the old style Colts from World War I and II, or World War II. Was it World War? Yeah, it was in World War I as well. Anyways, regardless, my stupidity aside, that gun to me is not something I want to carry out in a reliable fashion on my hip to protect myself. It's got 7 to 8 rounds. Can I hit you with it? Yes. Is the trigger of this janky 1911 from Rock Island pretty good? Yeah, it's really nice. It's a really nice trigger.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how much
But
ammo I had? Like 100 rounds for that gun, and that was it, because I'd go to shoot it or take a friend and they want to shoot a 1911. Here's my 1911. It's nostalgic. I love it. I love the history of it. My father touched it, probably the last gun he touched before he died, and I absolutely adore that gun. I will never sell it because of that, but I'm not carrying ammo for it. I'm just not. And
Well,
I'm
and-
not
and
going to
that's-
trade ammo for it.
Yeah, and then, again, that is part of the answer of, the only wrong answer for a gun is one that you're not comfortable with. And if you're not comfortable with it, then it's not the gun that you should take. It doesn't mean that it's less cool. I mean, I think that's a general gist of kind of what we've said in the past. Like, hey, I don't care what you have.
Yeah.
But what you do have, you should be good with it. And I have tried to take that to heart myself. Like, hey, AK versus AR wars, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody really cares. But when you need to use it, you need to train with it. And that's really the only, and again, that's why we highlight the training courses,
Yep.
being like, hey, you cannot,
You can't buy a gun and expect to shoot at things that are trying to kill you reliably without training. And if that training is self-taught, like, you can buy Scout's book, Grill's Guide to Battlefield Radio. He's got a SIGINT book, really good book too. It is the basic bitch information you need to do your job and not die. There are gun books that are the same way. There's AK books on how to shoot, how to set up your sights and everything else. And there are so many AR-15/M16/mil. I was a Navy SEAL hybrid ninja moose humper in GWAT, Vietnam, and I know all about this gun, and they know everything. I'm not joking about it. There's a lot of good stuff, and there's nuances, and guys can tell you a little, oh, well, I do this trick or whatever else. There's tons of books out there for both of those platforms. The books are great, and you can teach yourself with the books to an extent. Guess what happens when you buy the book, buy the gun, and don't do any training? You're screwed. You're totally screwed.
you cannot substitute that type of training. And that's where, like, hey, you like to shoot, like you were saying, I'm kind of a 9mm guy, like 9mm. That's kind of what I started with. I've shot other things. I've
got a
shot
friend who's
40, I've shot
10mm.
45. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
shot the 10mm, and
She
it's just,
shoots 10mm all day long and loves it and thinks it's the best thing in the world. And she is a very sharp shot on it, and she shoots pretty fast. She isn't as fast as me with 9mm, but I would not want to be on the receiving end of her shooting at me.
no,
Straight up.
and again, that's what matters. It's like, hey,
Yep.
are you actually shooting it? Yes?
Yep.
Cool. That's the right answer. Hey, are you just, and then
Can
you
I
do
hit
need,
stuff reliably?
yeah, and then at the same time, are you getting training? Are you going and exploring classes outside of your own knowledge? Because too bad, so sad, you don't know it all, period, end of story.
Common Joe's talking about guns.
Yeah,
will
and
not give
that's
you the
all
information you need.
that's not, yeah, I would never go and say, oh, hey, what works for me is going to work for you. Sorry, man. I don't believe that. I do the things I do because they work for me.
Yep.
And I'm learning just as much as anybody else is, try to do my due diligence and get my own level training the best I can. When I get, money put together, of course, we're all playing the same balancing game.
Yep.
It's just getting a little harder, but we all, need to keep that mind up of like, hey, this is still important. Don't go to sleep. Don't black pill. Don't get all discouraged, because there's a ton of folks. They may not be your neighbors. I'll be honest. That's kind of the situation I'm in right now. It's like,
Yeah.
my neighbors aren't, I don't think they're gonna,
Speaking
but
of
at the
which, I have
same
a
time,
dude to call that I met at a training course that lives near me, and we were supposed to meet up 2 weeks ago, and stuff changed, and I forgot to message him. And that's how you meet people. Some of these training courses.
that's the bet. And I think all the instructors, every instructor that I've run into, all these great guys that we talked to, that's what everyone highlights. They're like, hey, the course is great. Content is great. Hearing, the way this instructor does it, great. The camaraderie and the community building, absolutely on par, second to none. That's the best. You run into the weirdest group of guys. We're all, and you all get to build that community that we've talked about and harped on and bitched about and said, hey, we can't do this together. It relies on this community. And this part of it, that's how you get us together. And, we get to be weird together and, be like, hey, this is, and learn things together, which is key, passing on good information.
Not made a friend? Have you not made a friend at a course yet?
No, I don't think. I think every single time I've run into somebody that's...
It's either a friend that we've already met at a course or somebody new that we like, and we exchange information. Maybe we don't talk to them for a long time, but they're around. And sometimes you're just like, hey,
I think I'd go
up?
as far enough to say, even with old friends, I think every time, even when it wasn't, if I was just helping as op 4 or if I was coming down just to kind of help with class, every time I've met with somebody new I've never ever met before, ever, and never probably ever would.
Yep.
Either geographically, or different professions or whatever, that I've always been, oh man, like, and it's never just one guy. Never just one guy that you're like, oh yeah, like, you take people's phone numbers down, you get their contact info, you try to keep in touch, and you kind of,
sometimes you space out. Sometimes there's guys that I don't talk to as much as I normally do. And it's not because we're not friends. It's just, you think about how much you don't reach out. And I highly recommend you reach out to your old friends and talk to people. But the other problem with classes is I can tell you who's coming to be op 4 most of the time, because there's some local guys who always come out, but some are moving. I know one guy that I love to death, great dude. His family is moving somewhere else with him, obviously, and he won't probably be at the op 4 as much because he's just not local. But I bet you money he'll come out once in a while.
Oh yeah, everybody definitely try. It's a great community. So, but yeah, definitely like kind of keeping on the ammo stuff too, because I know we constantly get off topic.
Well, there's a reason. There's a reason why we're talking about this too, is because how much money should I put aside for ammo? How much money should I put aside for training? And this comes up to the fact, am I going to take a course soon? Maybe I should get some ammo. Oh man, I wish I had the name of the course. There was a course that was done recently. Angry American went out there. Mel Weatherman, who's his wife, all went out to a pistol course. And that course is 3 days, it's $800. It's phenomenally good course. They're based out of Texas, I believe, but he was doing it in Daytona. And I actually ran into the instructor and I saw gun shooting, sweater on, and all this other stuff. Like, oh, you going to the training course? He's like, yeah, I'm instructing it. And I realized you're not instructing the one I'm going to. But they actually have a thing. Hey, if you can't get ammo for your firearm, contact us. We have a distributor. We can get you ammo. You got to give us 14 days lead time, and we will bring it to the course. That way you don't have to fly with it and some other stuff, because his class isn't cheap. He's a phenomenal, top-performing shooter, and I've not met anyone who has not really loved his course. But this comes back to, how much ammo do I need to keep at the house? How much ammo do I want for self-defense? How much ammo do I want for routine training? And routine training right now may be once a month, and maybe less than that because you're just poor. Remember, dry fire exists. For the love of God, remember dry fire exists. I remember sitting with Rabbit, and we would turn on a TV, get all the ammo out of the room, get all the stuff, clean out the magazines, and we'd say, that bad man on TV is a target, or that person's an asshole. We're just going to shoot at him every time it comes on TV, and click and click. And we put the little laser cartridges in our firearms, and we train with it. Is it as good as training with ammo? No, it is not. The Mantis X, great product. It goes with live fire and dry fire. It's out there. It's expensive, but at this point, you buy a case of 9mm, it's $300. I think one of those is right around the same price. So if you can't get the ammo for training, maybe you get a Mantis X. And they do a lot more than just the bullet and can help you a lot more in certain ways.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I mean, there's a give and take to all of it, and I'll be honest, I've pulled the trigger enough times to make up for the money spent on the product. And that was back then.
I lost mine. I don't know where mine is. I have the Blackbeard or whatever for the AR-15 that I don't use enough, but I don't know where my Mantis Hex is, and it's driving me nuts. And I've been debating about buying another one because, again, ammo prices, I'm in an urbanized environment. It's harder to get to the gun range than I want it to be. And on top of that, I have to go to the gun range and play the licky, chewy, touchy, feely, weird people out there. And sometimes I just want to sit at home.
Yeah,
and not go to the range with those
there's
people.
nothing wrong, and there's definitely nothing wrong with actually like a shoot. I think Andy Parzan, he put up some videos of him doing some dry fire training a little less than a week ago or something like that. I was like, hey,
Yep.
it matters.
It helps.
All the training. The only wrong answer is when you're not training. If you can turn anything into a training scenario, anything into something. Do your best, because in reality, yeah, we're all feeling it. I don't think anybody right now is like, yeah, I'm just going to start buying drums of ammo. Mitchell goes and I remember watching him. He just I remember him standing over 55-gallon drums of ammo.
Yep.
Back then, I was like, man, but that was his thing.
Money.
Yeah, exactly. And there's nothing wrong with it, but save where you can. And I think that answer of like, hey, how much do you get? Be honest, I think all of us are going to say, well, more, but at the same time,
point of where are you going to put it?
Yeah, and that's you got.
Is it a war? Are you going to make it? Are you going to lay it down in a bed format, put a mattress on top of it, and sleep on top of it?
Exactly. And then I will gladly bring in where are you going to, if you have your house full of ammo, where are you going to put your gauze? Because you need more of that too. And so
probably need more bandages.
Oh yeah, dude. And that's, you're talking about something that's super inefficient to store is frickin' gauze, dude. And that, but
the vacuum sealed packs and all.
They're still, and they get, and God forbid, they get a hole in them, and they get, and you can't be using it.
Now it's not sterile, but you could still use it as a wrap, blah, blah, blah.
There's a million, yeah, exactly. And so you're running into this issue. It's like, hey, well, one, I don't, and not that it's a strategy, oh, hey, this is top secret stuff. No, like, I try to buy, if I can buy in bulk, I will, for any of the preparedness stuff. But remember, you do need to rotate, whether it's food, whether it's medical supplies, whether it's, like, ammo. You definitely want to put that older ammo to the front, and unless you have a specific reason, but you really should be warning.
Unless it's COVID ammo, then you might want to shoot that crap obviously. Right now. And your $12.99 box of ammo for 308's probably better manufacturer at the time than the COVID ammo, because the nuance of that,
I don't think I actually bought ammo during COVID at all.
You were so smart. I was
in
Oklahoma, North Dakota at the time. And I remember buying MagTech, which wasn't bad ammo, but I got a box, and for probably 5 months, every time I'd buy a box of ammo, I would pull it apart or open the box. It was all loose in there. And I would find a primer sticking out, a bullet that was jammed in, but the machine had crushed the side of the shell casing. So all the powder was released in there. I had usually one round out of the whole box just didn't fire, and luckily it didn't explode, so that's good, and all the bullets went out of the chamber. But it was so obvious there was something wrong with that, or a lack of primer. That was the other one. Like, I had a couple with no primer, and I'm like, okay, I'm sure the I found a box. There's a whole bunch of gunpowder loose in here, and the primer is missing out of a 9mm. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, this is going to be a great paperweight.
Oh, yeah, well, that was kind of because I remember, what was it,
I
White
warned
Box? I
you
think
about
it was
that too.
Winchester. Yeah, I think it was
Yes,
a box
Winchester,
of
White Box.
Winchester that, and again, we didn't know that. I think that was possibly, and I would consider, at least it was unforeseen to me, but at the same time, I was kind of glad. I was like, hey, I think we're going to just wave off for a little bit, and we're just going
Yeah,
to, at least what I do, I try to buy just a little bit at a time.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
can, you're like, hey, you do the same thing with food. You do the same thing with anything else. You're like, hey, do I buy all the dried food and all the potatoes and rice or whatever, and whatever that you're trying to buy at the same time? No, you buy it so that you can use it as much as it comes in. And now, granted, you will have opportunities, hopefully in the future, and I do pray that we will have more opportunities where maybe ammo isn't this
Stupid.
scarce and
Yeah.
stupid and all this
Let's
other
just
stuff.
say stupid.
Yeah, we'll say stupid, and
Because I don't know if there's any reason for them to have bought everything up right now, and I feel like it's artificial.
it might be. I
I
kind of
think
hope.
that's the phase from a lot of other people too have said that too, but we could be wrong. And
Yeah,
this is
I hope I am.
don't panic buy. Don't panic buy ammo right now. Not saying don't buy ammo. Like Rabbit has said, buy what you can when you can. So if you got a few extra bucks right now, which is probably not the case, maybe buy 50 extra rounds.
Yeah.
Put
If
them
you
away.
can splurge and you're like, oh, hey, you know what? Actually, I do have a couple $100 and I can buy that ammo can. Okay, dude.
Buy it
I
before
don't
the price
do,
jacks up.
yeah, do what you can, especially if it's within your means. You do. Obviously, I think we're all trying to be responsible. We're all trying
Right.
to keep our heads above water and our families secure and good, healthy food and all this other stuff. But at
Not
the
piss
same
off the
time,
wives by
yeah,
spending
and
$1,000 on ammo because ammo prices are going to go up, which is true.
yeah,
That's
so you have to
a whole conversation.
manufacture
Yeah.
receipts and tell her it was $20 when it was $3,000 or whatever.
The wife is hearing this right now. She'll be listening to this soon. She listens to all my stuff. And I'm now screwed. She's going to be like, I want to see the receipt before you manufacture one.
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny, and but
Honey, I promised Rabbit bought this for me. I didn't spend anything. Why is there a $5,000 debit on her account? Oh, that was for shocks. Yeah, shocks for your car.
gauze.
God, I bought
Uh,
something for you for your birthday. It's $5,000, I swear.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's you do want to get it when you can, and definitely if you can support those who are your community. Definitely
Yeah.
support those folks because it's hard on everybody. And
Local ammo production is going to be very important for a lot of people, and it's going to be probably your only source if it goes COVID again. And it may be one of those things where there's a line of people. So buying some now before the price really jacks up, probably a good idea if you have the cash. But I'm not telling you to go buy 5,000 rounds of ammo, stick it under your seat, stick it in the walls. That's probably over the top for this particular incident. During COVID, I might have told you that. If you could have gotten a hold of it and I knew COVID, I'd be like, buy as much as you can and at worst sell it during COVID. But you never know what's coming in the future. We don't know. This whole Iranian thing could be done in a month. We could be in a quagmire for 10 years, and we could have some other president pull us out the most retired way with dead soldiers all over the place and half the country clapping good job while the other half is in civil war. Who knows? And that's
yeah,
the issue.
yeah, we definitely. It may not be directly associated to. It could be stuff that we just don't understand, stuff that I don't
Or somebody's
understand, or you
doing
don't
something
understand
behind our
particularly.
back that we don't
Yeah,
know yet.
because there's so, and I think we all have hit that limit either one time or another where you're like, man, I feel very overstretched. My bandwidth is kind of overtaxed on trying to keep up with what's going on. I think the general consensus is we're all on the same page on that aspect, but at the same
If you
time,
want to know those answers,
huh?
if you want to know the answers to all this, probably Scout is dived into it. Dolio is dived into it. There's a lot of other people out there that they spend all day getting information from experts and managing that information to the people. Even S2, as much as I've seen S2 is very raw intel sometimes, he's a good spot to just hear what the news is going on around the world that you're not going to hear from everybody else. But again, the only reason I bring him up is because Scout is too busy to make podcasts. He has been as quiet as I have, and looking at his list of courses coming up, I don't see a whole bunch of podcasts coming out.
Man, there's so much good stuff coming down the pipeline. It's
Yeah,
all so great to see. And it's
He's too
so
busy.
weird too sometimes because I remember it not being so regular. It wasn't such a regular thing.
It's very seasonal. But I think he's also worked around the season stuff because you can see when his carbine courses are. They're when they're not stupid hot there.
Well,
They're
I mean,
also
shoot, anyway.
when the ticks aren't out.
That may, take. He's
But
been doing it a while. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And a lot of these guys know better. They know how to deal with the seasons. And if you're an outdoor guy, you know when the tick season comes. I remember as a kid, I would get chiggers every year at the same time. And I knew better, but I'd still go out like an idiot. Well, after a few years of that, you start going, let me not go in the woods right now. Let me go to the ocean or whatever else at that time. So he's gotten a real good platform, but like the NVIS class doesn't require you to go off into the sticks and traipse through the woods to do the training, which is nice. And the weather doesn't have to be super perfect for that because you can kind of shelter in place and do the NVIS course. So that the season's better when it's cooler, just it's more comfortable, but it's not overly important. So the list of stuff he's got going on pales in comparison to other people. And just reading Joe's stuff, Joe's got some great stuff going out in Montana. I'm super sad that he's in Montana, farther away. I'm glad he's out of that shithole. Was it Dearborn,
It was
Michigan?
before. I don't. Yeah, before.
Yeah. He's told everybody Dearborn, Michigan area. Not specific, but he was in that region, and it sucks he's out there because it's a hard trek to get out to his area. But there's enough guys out in the West area that you need to go out to his classes. I don't know if I'm hitting any people with this podcast because we don't say, go share us to all your friends, like and subscribe. I figure you're going to subscribe if you like it. And I'm sure you're going to tell your friends if you want to. And I hate to say it, a lot of the people that know about this go to courses. And it's the same old Joes who are going to courses. Maybe over time, if I get more consistent with this, more you guys will hear it. But at that point, I'd love feedback. What are some other courses you want to take? And this rolls back. How much money do I want to spend? How many courses are out there? What's the cost of it? Everything else. Wes makes great courses. His courses are expensive because they're good, and Wes trains more than just civilians. The Team 1 Tactics, great dude. He's trying to make it cheap enough for the common guy to come out because he thinks it's important. It's not because Wes doesn't think it's important either. Wes's training pipeline's different than that. I'd say Wes is going for a special clientele that are really highly motivated and are digging deep. And Marty is looking for the common guy to get it in the process, which will eventually feed him to more complex stuff. And I know Marty can teach that. Or maybe he shifts you on to people that are like Wes. Scout does the same thing. Scout teaches a lot of courses, and they're in depth, they're detailed stuff. And I can see the cross-pollination of stuff that Dolio taught and Scout taught and the intermingling of that. We have authors. There's, I think Russ Sawyer's writing books. He's a good shooting instructor. He comes out to Chris Weatherman / A American, and they do little group get-togethers where they do small training, and they're free. You just have to follow them and maybe be on their like subscription-based thing, $5 a month. But I'm supporting an author I love, and they go, hey, we're going to have a group get-together. I happen to be in Florida right now. I go to them. When I move out of here, I may not be able to go to them, but maybe I find an author in my area or something else, or a local shooting community that's cool. And there's a couple like gun-ho guys who want to train. There's a whole group of people out in Arkansas and Missouri that are training, and they're having courses and they're setting things up. And those guys out there are salt of the earth, working class fools like Rabbit and I. Rabbit and I have our own skills. We have our own specialties. We know our own knowledges from previous military experience or just learning it on ourselves. But that doesn't mean you can't either. And that doesn't mean you can't get a group together. So if the cost of the training is too high, cool. Find a cheaper course that will teach you something. They're out there. Now, they may not be worth it, so do some research. The only reason we support the guys we do is because I've been to the course, or I know people that I have vetted and I can trust to say these guys are good course people. That said, Scout will tell you about a course that was held at his property that should never have been held. And you'll hear, if you ask him, he'll tell you about it. So think about
Yeah,
your funding
definitely.
on that.
But yeah, definitely keep everybody's eyes open on kind of,
Yeah.
you know,
Training is more important
I
than
know it's
ammo.
such a general thing, and I know we've kind of just been kind of
Beating it
talking.
like a dead horse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it definitely is, we mostly because it's, it's close to us. It makes a lot of sense, and especially, I'm not shy, revealing that, like, hey, look, I was so of that, just gonna sit in a hole somewhere with all my ammo, and I was gonna eat MREs until everything, and then I realized that was, it took
Not the right way to go.
you and a couple other just dragging me out to classes and realized I was wrong, totally wrong, and in reality, that was a great course correction at the time, and
Yeah.
and I think, and I
Now you're
hope.
in another hole hiding with no regional friends.
Yeah, one thing at a time, once these professional things end, and then I can get closer, but I think we're all vesting to, it's, the biggest thing is, our families, our communities,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing it for. We're not just we're definitely not doing it for you. You're not
Yeah.
just doing it for, we are, I think we have the general consensus, hey, we are trying to make it better, just do what we can to make things better, and just don't get discouraged.
Yeah, and I
Don't.
don't want you blowing all your money on pallets of ammo. That's why the whole discussion is like, don't blow money on pallets of ammo unless you have that to burn right now. You just came into a large wealth, but don't spend all of your large wealth on ammo and guns. That's one of the hallmarks of this thing. As much as we love to talk about guns, and I'm sure a lot of you guys love hearing about it because it is a fascination that every person who preps is more interested in that than they probably are a lot of other things. The reality is it's not the first thing that I'm worried about anymore. I like shooting, and I haven't shot for a while because guess what? I was out of a job for a while. I was getting paid piss poor at the time, a whole bunch of other stuff. Priorities stepped up. I couldn't go to the training course that I was supposed to go assist at because I was going to be broke. So instead of burning through my savings to go do fun stuff, I was like, I'm not doing this until I have another job. I got a better paying job. Life is great again, and I'm doing a lot more stuff that I couldn't do, and now all of a sudden we have World War, not war, times 33 that we'll see how that goes, and it's causing a little bit of repercussions that I'm not pleased about, but I'm also not screaming bloody murder, it's the end of the world either, and you shouldn't either. Think about what you're doing. Maybe now it's a little aha moment. You go, shit, maybe I should buy 500 rounds so I have training ammunition and a backup just in case. Or maybe I'm going to go buy a couple boxes of ammo here and there when I go out to the I'm going to go out to the gun range, honey. I'm going to go shoot, and then I'm going to shoot 100 rounds and buy 150.
Yeah, or
Restock
something like
myself that
that,
way.
or
Yeah.
it's the little thing, that's where, oh, hey, Rome was built in a day. Well, no,
Yep.
neither was your stockpile of good supplies, and the
Neither is your
rule
training.
is, middle ground of everything.
Yep.
You can't eat bullets, but you also can't defend yourself with food. You can't shove
There was
food
a
in a
horrible joke
wound.
of that.
Yeah, and that's, and at the same time, it's
You
like,
can't eat bullets.
yeah, but either
Don't.
way,
They
it's,
don't taste good.
oh no, it's that heavy metal, but it's definitely
Lead
something.
poisoning is for bad guys, not for you.
No, and that's, keep that good middle mindset of like, hey, you can have too much for the certain situation you're sitting in. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
that you're bad. It just means you're like, hey, maybe I spent a little extra on this.
Hurricane hits, wipes
know.
out all the production or all the transit of supplies in. The U.S. is fine, but you are cut off. You're on the bottom tip of Florida. The hurricane hit and just destroyed everything. Category 5. Food supplies are low, and you have 5,000 rounds of ammunition and 2 days worth of food. Guess what you're going to be missing? And guess what you're going to have problems with? Not to mention
Well,
water.
Perfect example. We had our move a while back, and stupid me, finally cleaning stuff up, realized, oh hey, here's our hurricane stuff. Oh hey, that's all expired. So guess what now? So yeah, that would be something that I would say, hey, talking with everybody, hey, I think we're gonna put a little bit of extra money, buy another, 50 bucks of something, just to kind of fill that box with some
Canned
fresh stuff.
food works too.
Oh, definitely. It's just, keeping it so that even if it, you fail your rotation, which in this case I did, that food was bad and it was bad. because it
Try
wasn't preparedness food. It was stuff for like hurricanes and going, had to go from back and forth depending on where we were at. It couldn't just be add hot water type of situations, but it just got buried, lost track of it, kind of ADD'd out. I don't know, but nonetheless, it was a kind of failure on my part. But I'm not gonna buy the entire bin tomorrow. I'm gonna buy it, went shopping the other day. Probably go next week. We'll go get something and just keep it. I need a list. And I will go and say, and I think other people have actually published stuff like that. And they're like, hey, I will buy this, this, and this. I'll buy this much of these things. And then, how do you get a year of food and, whatever?
There's a couple articles on that, and I did an article specifically on that one that I posted on American Partisan. And it wasn't a holistic perfect thing, but it was like, get a list together. And we used a lot of I used a lot of Mormon points because the Mormon community, whether you love them, hate them, whatever else, don't believe they're accurate. That's fine. They are a huge prepping community and they know food really well. The problem is it comes down to how much bandages do I need? What kind of bandages do we have? And that's something Teddy, I know he's probably had a podcast or two on that. That's what he teaches at TCCC. And when you go to that class, now some of the stuff you bought is more important. Like, I'll say this, any idiot can put a tourniquet on. They may not put it on properly, but you can put a tourniquet on. And if you're not totally retarded, you'll probably shut that blood flow off. That said, do you know how to do packing bandages? Do you know how to use certain medications over the counter or otherwise? When to use them? I've got medications that I literally have my wife write. This is for stomach aches. This is for headaches. And we have them boxed out because I'm not the medic guy. I know I can walk up to Rabbit and be like, this is Meloxicam, blah, 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 can. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's for whatever. Lesions on your butt crack. I don't know. Something stupid. And I'll be like, okay, like, it's not something I'm going to pack. And you need to take that into consideration, too, when you're packing for stuff. Don't overpack for an apocalypse that you're never going to have. You don't need 50 IV bags of fluid if you have nobody in your community that knows how to do an IV. It's just like, good luck, you're going to kill somebody.
Yeah, it's, carry, as you train and you gain knowledge, it does grant, I don't want to say access, but it provides.
Makes life easier.
Oh, shoot, what is it? Oh, what is the word that Wes uses? Cover for, oh man, I'm blanking.
Cover for action?
Yeah. Yep. But at the same time, it's like, hey, you have the justification to have that because you have the skill that backs it up. And it's the same thing for like ammo. Like, hey, if you go and you have if you're buying, ammo for guns that you don't have, well, why? Like, no, in certain aspects, hey, I'm going to hand it out to people. It's like, okay, well, who? Because space is limited, money's tight, and no, I'm not going to go buy 45 for somebody that I don't know whether or not they have a 45 and or,
Luckily, I know Scout has his own 45 ammo. I don't have to bring 45 ammo with him. He's got radios. He's got other stuff that he has access to. But I'm an asset to him because I can go run his radios, which is more than I can. If I had to go to Scout for any reason, I can go do something for him. And sometimes just knowledge is the asset itself. Maybe you don't barter bullets for food. Maybe you barter, I can fix that chainsaw because I've ran chainsaws and you need a chainsaw to cut the trees out of your property or build bunkers or build whatever. And your chainsaw's messed up. I know how to file a chain. I don't like doing it on a chainsaw. I don't know how to run a chainsaw worth a snot, but I work with a lot of dudes who've been around a lot of chainsaws and I've had free time. Like, I'll sharpen it for you. It's not that hard. And it's a skill that I could pass on to 50 other people too if I wanted to. And it's something like, hey, I've got a couple files I use for other things. This will fix your chainsaw. Let's get you sharp again so you can go do other work. And maybe you can teach me how to run the chainsaw better and safer, because I've seen a lot of sketchy shit with chainsaws.
Yeah, we all know, keep it out of the box. Don't stress. Don't, as easy as that is to say, I can't, we try to just do what we can with the area effect that we can affect and go outwards from there as things improve, or situations improve or deteriorate depending.
Yep.
And be flexible yet, and like, hey, your basis of knowledge is probably the most important because it's weightless. we all, you can never put, you'll never run out of space in your brain to remember, you might in certain aspects, but I mean, you being in knowledge and practice and having the ability to know those things is a weightless skill. So, like, yeah, I may not be able to bring all my medical supplies with me, but if I run across something that has it, I probably can use the knowledge to do some of those things just as much as, you probably can go and say, hey, we've talked about, oh, hey, I can make anything an antenna.
Yep.
Okay, well,
Anything you want.
yeah,
If
exactly.
I have a tuner, I can make anything an antenna.
And so we have to again remember what our strengths are, understand what your strengths are, understand where your weaknesses are. Don't categorize yourself by your strengths or your weaknesses, but practice as much as you can all of it so that you can put your best foot forward for not, for you and yourself. And, again, stuff isn't all, stuff doesn't make it. Stuff helps though. It's a tool. A gun is a
Food's great
tool.
until it's expired.
Yeah, I mean, well, fuck. Yeah. Yeah, soup, my shears expired last year, but yeah, not to beat a dead horse too much longer, but yeah, big rant about, kind of some basic stuff. And again, this is community, so please bring, you see us on X or whatever, you see the podcast or whatever, definitely leave some notes below as to kind of like, hey, like what you guys are,
What you're dealing
even
with.
things that might concern you. Be like, hey, man, like, what about this? And there's 1.5 million questions, and definitely do the best to kind of help each other out the best we can with the knowledge that we have. But definitely, focus on tomorrow first, and the day after will follow.
Yep.
Trust that it, worry about your family, your faith, keeping all those things
There's
kind
some
of.
good Bible statements about all this stuff too.
Oh, yeah.
For you atheist guys, I totally get it, but there's always good instruction in the Bible if you are an atheist that you'll pick up on. And I think one of the key things that I found from religion that is not taught well anywhere else is like keep calm, carry on. No one's going to be there to help you except for God. And if you don't believe in God, then there's no one there to help you but yourself. And maybe you find religion, maybe you find God, but it's the peace in religion that you will find that helps you keep calm and carry on. That's the thing that I think a lot of people miss in that. So again, this podcast was fear of missing out versus sanity and storage is going to be the title of it. And it's literally that. Keep your sanity. Make sure you don't pack too much stuff in a small sardine to the point that you're going to have problems with your significant other. And don't panic. Do not panic. Get the training. Well, the more training you have, the less panic you have. I know a lot more about locks than I've known in years, and I used to be a lock enthusiast for fun, and I got a crash course and a bruising of the ego on my equipment, especially after the fact. When I got out of that course, I will discuss that at some point. But yeah, I think it's pretty good on that.
Yeah.
We'll hit on some other stuff. I will be having another podcast that we are doing tomorrow but it'll probably come out a little bit after that, several days. I will be talking about the drone stuff. I will try to have Rabbit on. We'll see how your schedule is because Rabbit did it for a job. We have friends that are over in Ukraine, which has given me a little bit more insight and some stuff. And I will tell you right now, there are a couple people I know that went to some drone training courses. I need to probably call tonight and just see if they've got any knowledge. Stout has a course. Everybody else has a course. There's so much information coming out that I may not be solid accurate. I'm not a bit perfect. So big hunk of Salt Lake salt on that one too. And with this one too.
Oh,
But
dude, yeah. And if anybody hasn't seen that ISR, Brush Beater's ISR video,
yeah,
he's on YouTube. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
They did put one out for TC3 too, and that one was pretty rocking too. I was super impressed. It was, oh man, it was cool.
I saw my buddy Teddy.
Good stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah, good stuff.
I need to hang out with Teddy again. I miss him. No homo, Teddy. No homo. So,
but all the homo.
It's the bromo. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up because it's about an hour and 30 minutes, so we're now just spinning wheels. So I'm happy to be back. We do this for the fun of it. We do this to help you guys out. We are not a paid sponsored thing. If you do want to send us to other people, please do. and tell them, hey, they're a whole bunch of idiots. Maybe they're fun, maybe they're exciting, maybe they're boring. I don't know. And feed them on because we want as much interaction with you guys as possible. We're not trying to make it big. I don't want to be Joe Rogan. I don't want my whole life spread out on a table and doxxed because blah blah blah. I just want people who are good people finding out about us so they can interact with us and get us information. We will probably never get paid for any of this shit. So there's that. This is all for fun.
I don't want that nightmare.
No, I don't either.
here
That's
for
why I
the
don't want to get involved. Once you start making money off of it, you end up having to like fight tankies and commies online, and I'll leave that to people like Fat Electrician who deals with those idiots all the time. I get amusement out of it. That's not my task. My task and purpose is bring up logistics, objects, training, and experiences to give you a better taste of what you should be doing. And I know you don't all have all the time in the world to do all the training. Make it as fun as you can. Do it when you can. Please don't be a loot drop. And Rabbit, you want to finish that phrase out?
Oh yeah, wash your filthy hands.
And if Vander was here, he'd tell you to keep your shovel sharp. We'll have him back as soon as possible, and all the rest of them. See if I can get X on here and some other guys. Just chit chatting. I'm back. I've got time now. I'm not traveling, so we'll see what we can do for you guys. Have a good night. Bye.